Commanders Nation, listen up because this season is going to be hot. There's an NFL analyst saying our offense is going to explode this year. Can you imagine that? But hold on, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Warren Sharp is dropping bombs about our offensive line, and they aren't good news. And that's not all. One of our young defenders is under pressure to develop his potential quickly in his second year. And don't forget about our star receiver, who's gearing up big time for camp. If you want to stay on top of all this and more, subscribe now and like the video. Don't want to miss it. Without further ado, let's get into the content. Hey, Commanders fans, are you ready for the bomb I'm about to drop? Because let me tell you, 2024 could be the year this offense finally explodes. And no, I'm not talking about a controlled explosion. I'm talking fireworks, rockets, and the whole show. Look, I know many of you are skeptical, but John, they have a rookie quarterback, you might say. Jayden Daniels is not just any rookie, folks. This kid has the potential to be a total game changer. Have you seen how his teammates talk about him? It's like they've seen the second coming of Patrick Mahomes. And speaking of offensive revolution, what about Cliff Kingsbury? Yeah, it's his first year in Washington. So what? This guy breathes and dreams explosive offense. Remember what he did with Kyler Murray in Arizona? Now imagine that, but with a quarterback who can actually read a defense. But let's be honest, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. That offensive line? Oh, that offensive line. Andrew Wiley at right tackle scares me more than a horror movie. And on the left, we've got Cornelius Lucas competing with a third-round rookie. Seriously? Is this the plan to protect our precious rookie? However, let me tell you something. Emory Hunt, that CBS analyst who knows what he's talking about, is predicting a big year for this offense. And I, folks, agree with him. Do you know why? 2 words, Barry McLaurin. McLaurin has been catching passes from quarterbacks who couldn't throw a paper ball into a trash can from 2 feet away. And yet, he's shined. Now, with Daniels throwing him the ball, Hunt predicts he could reach 8 or 9 touchdowns. That's insane. Can you imagine what that would mean for this offense? But here's the big question, Commanders fans. Are we underestimating this offense? Yes, there are questions. Yes, there are risks. But there's also potential. Potential that could make the entire league turn around and say, what the hell is happening in Washington? So I ask you, Commanders fans, are you ready to believe? Are you ready to dream big? Because I'll tell you something. If Daniels connects with McLaurin like I think he will, Kingsbury unleashes his offensive magic, and if that offensive line manages to hold up, well, we could be talking about one of the most exciting offenses in the NFL. Hey, Commanders fans, are you ready to face the truth? Because what I have to say about our offensive line is not for the faint-hearted. Warren Sharp, that analytics genius, just dropped a bomb about our offensive line, and let me tell you, it's not pretty. Ranked 27th in the NFL? Are you serious? That's like being in the basement of the basement. But before you start crying in your beers, let me give you some perspective. Last year, we saw Sam Howell go down more times than a rookie boxer against Mike Tyson. But don't be fooled. It wasn't all the offensive line's fault. Sometimes Howell looked like he had his feet glued to the turf. And that Bieniemy offensive scheme, well, let's just say it didn't help much. Now we have 3 new starters on the line. That good? Absolutely. It's like changing the tires on a car that was falling apart. But here's the crux of the matter. Will these changes be enough? Look at Tyler Biadasz at center. We snatched him right from the Cowboys. Ha! At least we can laugh that we're ranked above Dallas. But don't get too excited. We're also above the Giants, who are dead last. Dead last. It's like bragging you're taller than a hobbit. And speaking of Titans, Eagles are ranked 4th. 4th. While we're struggling not to drown, they're swimming with the sharks in deep waters. Here's the real issue, folks. We've got Jayden Daniels, our new rookie quarterback, the golden boy, the hope for the future. And how do they plan to protect him? With an offensive line that's scarier than a low-budget horror movie. Coleman, our third-round rookie, is fighting for the left tackle spot. Some say he should play as a guard. Others say he's the future. I say he better be the present, because if not, Daniels is going to spend more time on the ground than standing up. And here's the big question. Can this offensive line keep Daniels on his feet long enough to work his magic? Because if not, it doesn't matter how much potential he has. It doesn't matter how brilliant Kingsbury is. We'll be looking at another year of frustration and what could have been. Let's continue. Now I'm going to talk about Emmanuel Forbes. And let me tell you, this isn't for the faint-hearted. Remember when we drafted him in the first round of the 2023 draft? We were all excited, right? Well, it turns out our golden boy is in need of rapid development. Really? Rapid development? This isn't a microwave, people. Look, I get that in today's NFL, they're willing to push the boundaries of size threshold. But 166 pounds for a cornerback? That's not pushing boundaries. That's knocking them down with a wrecking ball. And guess what? Reality hit us harder than A.J. Brown hit Forbes in Week 4. 60 pounds different. 60. That's not a duel, that's David versus Goliath. But David forgot his sling at home. Brown made him look like a kid in an adult playground. 6 receptions, 147 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's not a stat line, that's a massacre. And it wasn't just that game. Forbes had his 2 worst defensive ratings against the Eagles. In the second game, he played only 5 snaps. 5! And in those 5 snaps, he allowed 2 receptions and a touchdown. It's like the Eagles had a plan to destroy him and executed it perfectly. Now, some will say, but John, a scheme change will help him. Really? Scheme change is going to make him grow 6 inches and gain 40 pounds? Because that's what he needs. But here's the interesting part. Forbes has until Week 11 to prove he's not a monumental draft mistake. He needs to regain his confidence, improve his technique, and maybe, just maybe, find a way to avoid being humiliated in prime time against the Eagles. So I ask you, Commanders fan, do you think Forbes can turn this around? Or should we start looking for his replacement now? Because I'll tell you something. If he doesn't improve drastically, that first-round pick is going to hurt more than a kick in the teeth. And here's the crux of the matter. Forbes isn't just a player struggling. He's a symbol of everything that's been wrong with this franchise. Questionable picks, poor development, and a frustrating inability to compete with the best in our division. So Forbes, if you're listening, it's time to show why we picked you. Because if not, that Week 11 game against the Eagles might be your last chance to prove you belong in this league. Now let's talk about Luke McCaffrey, our rookie fresh out of the oven, who's about to shake up training camp. Do you think this kid is resting before the season starts? While other rookies are probably on the beach, McCaffrey is sweating bullets in Colorado. And you know what? I love it. That's how champions are made. Look, I know some of you are thinking, oh, he's just Christian McCaffrey's little brother. But let me tell you something. This McCaffrey isn't here to live in anyone's shadow. This kid is a chameleon on the field. Quarterback? He's done it. Running back? Piece of cake. Receiver? He's starting to dominate it like a veteran. And speaking of receiving, 71 catches for 992 yards and 13 touchdowns in his last year at Rice. Those aren't rookie numbers, those are rising star numbers. But here's what's really exciting. Cliff Kingsbury, that offensive genius, is drooling over the possibilities McCaffrey brings to the table. Can you imagine the tricks he can pull with a guy who can throw, run, and catch? It's like having a human Swiss Army knife on the field. And make no mistake, this kid isn't here to warm the bench. Beyond McLaurin and Dotson, our receiving core is weaker than decaf coffee. McCaffrey has a golden opportunity to make a name for himself from day one. But what really has me excited is the chemistry he's developing with Jaden Daniels. Arriving early at training camp? That, my friends, is what separates the good from the great. So here's my question for you, Commanders fan. Are you ready to see Luke McCaffrey shine? Do you think he can be the spark our offense desperately needs? Because I'll tell you something. McCaffrey plays like he's training, and if Kingsbury uses him as the versatile weapon he is, we could be witnessing the birth of a new star in Washington. And God knows we need some stars around here. So keep your eyes peeled at training camp. Because Luke McCaffrey isn't here to play, he's here to dominate. And I, for one, can't wait to see what tricks he has up his sleeve. All right, Commanders fans, we've covered a lot of ground today, and I've got some burning questions for you. First, who do you think will be the key piece for us to take off this year? Will it be Daniel's arm, McLaurin's reliable hands, or maybe Kingsbury's brilliant mind? Moving on to our offensive line, do you trust they can protect Daniels well enough? Or are you already praying for a miracle? Speaking of defense, Emmanuel Forbes has a lot to prove. What does he need to do to earn your confidence? Do you think he can overcome his physical limitations and become the cornerback we need? And finally, Luke McCaffrey. Will he be the X factor our offense needs? Or is it too early to jump on the hype train? Now listen up. This channel isn't just a place for news, it's a family. We are a community of passionate Commanders fans, united through thick and thin. So I invite you to be a part of this. Share your opinions in the comments, give a like if you enjoyed the video, and please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates. Remember, every subscribe, every comment, every like makes us stronger as a community. Together, we can make the voice of true Commanders fans heard loud and clear. I'm John, a fan just like you, and I'll be here week after week, bringing you the latest news and the hottest takes. Because when the Commanders finally explode, I want us all to be here together to celebrate. And remember, hail to the Redskins.